Hello, welcome. This is the open forum for September 2023. We have Jennifer here. Normally, we have a large amount of birth workers and doulas who come into the open forum, and today we get one. So this is perfect. This is fine. I have a sensation that there are a lot of doulas who are working shifts because right now it is so busy. It is so busy with clients, people having babies. And so I'm sure that a lot of y'all are going to be catching the replay of this. So I'll do a quick introduction to myself. My name is Melissa Fernandez. I am a postpartum doula. I'm also a business mentor. I am in the Atlanta, Georgia area. I am doing on the postpartum side, I'm doing childbirth education classes with a midwife and an IBCLC. I'm also doing postpartum support circles that is done virtually. And then I'm also doing in-home postpartum support. Alongside that, I do one-on-one sessions for energetic healing with birth trauma, postpartum trauma, parenting, motherhood. So I have a wide range of services and offers that I do on that side. And then on the other side, I am a business coach. I'm a business mentor. I have a slew of online courses, classes, products. My favorite one is the Wellness and Business Collective. You can join there. There's different tiers. So I do a lot, right? That's a little bit about me. I'm also this is like the fun part, right? But I'm a retired Cirque du Soleil acrobat and a previous NCAA gymnast. So that was really the majority of my career, was as a high level athlete and acrobat. And then I got into postpartum doula work and the birth worker industry in March and summer of 2020. So I'm really happy to be here. These open forums are really, really fun. They're collaborative. They bring doulas together and we discuss, our celebrations. We discuss challenges. We talk through as a group about what works really well, what doesn't. And there's a lot of problem solving and troubleshooting that occurs usually in these open forums. It's really, really fun. And it's a wonderful way to network too. Oftentimes there's a lot of connections that are placed together. Now, because we've got Jennifer here, who is a longtime member of the Doula Business Club, which is inside the Wellness and Business Collective. I love Jennifer. She's awesome. I'm going to chat a little bit because Jennifer has a specific question. And then we're just going to kind of see how the rest of the session flows. And then we will wrap up. I'll share with you guys my Instagram, and how we can all stay connected so that we can get more of these open forums going, because it looks like I'm doing them once a month. They're super fun. Okay. Now, Jennifer had a question specifically about something that I posted on my Instagram account. That's where I'm really active there in stories. For me, it's just fun. That's where I like to be social on these social media platforms. And yesterday, I went to a networking event. It was hosted by me and a local midwife. Her name is Lynn. And we pulled together, created a networking event for birth workers. So it was including pelvic floor therapists, lactation consultants, midwives. We had NICU nurses in there. It was an incredible event. We had a really large turnout. We had about, I think it was like 12 total people there. And so Jennifer was just simply asking to hear more about it. And if you want to pop in any like specific questions or come off mute and share like any like little details you'd like, let me know. But I'll kind of run through the process of it. Basically, Lynn and I want to get birth workers together. One, we like to talk about birth. Like we're birth nerds. We like to talk about postpartum. We like to talk about helping pregnant and newly postpartum moms feel supported, find resources, find networks, because we see that is really lacking, right? So who better to talk to about these things than birth workers? We like to get together and we just like to talk. We like to hang out. And so that was one of the reasons we pulled it together. And then two, we really think it's important to gather frequently and often for not just our businesses, because it's great referrals, right? I mean, it is really great referrals. When you meet someone, regardless if it's in person or through the virtual space, there's a connection that's made. And if you have similar viewpoints, if you really like the services they're providing, you get their business card or you get their contact information. And guess what happens? You start sending people to them. I mean, it's like a direct line. It is vital to be in those kind of circles and networking events and bridging these connections, because the reality is we aren't going to be the doula for every person. But if we have someone come through and they're like, "Oh, I know exact this, I don't have those services, but I know the person who does," and you send them that way, that is like, that's power. That not power in a bad way, but it's like this network that's just solidified in a beautiful way. It's very reciprocal because they're going to be doing the same and sending clients to you. So it really just supports the whole community in general. It supports you as a business, it supports them, and it really supports the pregnant and postpartum families to be like, to know where to go. So that was those are like the focus points of why we did that yesterday. And then another side of it is that Lynn and I are wanting to create a network, one network for the entire state of Georgia, where all of us come together and we are backups for each other. If we need to, we get to like call in and be like, "Hey," or we call in and say like, "Oh, we've got what this is what one of my clients is experiencing. How can I help them? Or who do I send them to?" Referrals again. And eventually we want to expand it into a directory service where pregnant families can find their doulas, their pelvic floor physical therapy, because we really noticed that the go-to resource is overwhelming for families. You have to piecemeal together where you find your people. And that is so exhausting as a pregnant person, or if you're newly postpartum. You don't need to be doing that. So I guess that networking event was really about those three things and seeing if there is a need for something like that, which there is. And having these monthly meetups. We're hoping to do monthly meetups. We are probably going to start a group Voxer because it's super fun and we can stay connected. And then we're going to see how it grows and expands. It's actually a very similar model to what we did inside the Doula Business Club. But yeah, it was super fun. Do you have any specific questions about it?
Great. I have a cold right now, so
Hmm.
I think my voice will hold out. Um, Not any specific questions, just I love the idea of the directory that you're considering putting together, because I think I had told you before, we've had our perinatal and pediatric professionals group running for over a year now. And ours are limited to our city. I guess some people maybe are slightly outside of the city who are joining in. So it started with a summertime picnic where people came. It was a potluck, just kind of a fun Sunday afternoon event. And it was lactation consultants who started this. They worked together and they saw the need to bring together all of these professionals, but they didn't want to limit it just to the perinatal side, because depending on, there can be overlap for sure when you're working with families. And so that's why they extended it to the pediatric professionals as well. So it really covers professionals from kind of conception to like just before kids start school. And so it's been interesting to watch the progress of things. So it started out as a picnic, and then we were meeting kind of every month for a little bit at a restaurant, which was fine when it was, you know, a group of 10. But then in January, when it was a group of 25 and we were at this one huge long table, I had to put my glasses on to see my friend at the other end of the table because she was texting me, waving, saying, "Hi, I can see you way down there." And I literally couldn't see her without my glasses on. I think they realized after that 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 type of setup isn't so conducive to actually having good conversations because you're limited to the people you're around. And so they changed it up. They've kind of had a few different iterations, but the latest now is they're running it every 2 weeks. They have secured a place that is rent free, which is amazing. It's somebody's aunt and uncle's church basement. It's a very nice place for us to meet. Generally, about 10 or up to 10 people show up. And the lactation consultants who started it always bring all the coffee and tea supplies and accessories, and then other people will bring, all the, cookies and muffins and Timbits and whatever, fruit. But it's good. They over the summer, and I think going forward, they're okay if some of the professionals do have little ones, whether it's babies or toddlers who are home with them. So they're allowed to come. There are a few toys kind of in the church basement that they can play with, or they bring their own. But I think they're finding though that having it every couple weeks is maybe a little too often. So I think they started out with big numbers that have dwindled down. And of course, everyone's busy, and they tried to make it fair. So we have a Facebook group that goes along with it, and I think there's over 100 professionals in there now, which probably isn't even everyone, but it's a huge group. And so that's the place where people are often saying, hey, I'm looking for someone who can do this, and then people will jump on. We also have therapists in there, like perinatal mental health trained therapists, which is fantastic. And just a really nice group of people in there. What we tried to do was to make sure that there's never going to be one day of the week that's going to work great for everyone. So what they set it up as is they'll have like a Monday morning, and then that week, the next week, when the following week comes, it'll be a Friday afternoon. So they alternate between Monday mornings and Friday afternoons. But I kind of think they could maybe drop it back to a once a month, and even like still alternate between the mornings and afternoons. But I think they might have a better turnout. I think it's just gotten to be too much. This summer, they had one picnic, which was good, but then they had another one. And I think the attendance was really low at the second one. And they're looking at, I'm supposed to be part of a planning committee for a holiday party in November, but haven't heard anything more about that. Like the excitement about it was there in June, but we haven't talked about it since. So, but they have big plans for it, but it's really interesting to see how different locations can run a similar group with similar benefits to everyone.
Mm-hmm. And so what have been the benefits for you as like being part of that network? What has been like the top 3 benefits from it?
I would say networking, definitely. Like I naturally, whenever I see a new person kind of in the birth worker space, I often reach out, and a lot of times we might chat over Zoom or that kind of thing. But to actually meet these people in person, like it's been fantastic. It's like, oh, I feel like I know you so well, but now we actually get to see each other in person. So the networking is definitely, just getting a chance to talk to other people about the business side of things, and not in a, like, the whole slogan on our Facebook group says collaboration over competition. And I think everybody has that mindset going in. We had a photographer who does kind of maternity, newborn pictures, family pictures, and she had some amazing words of wisdom because she's been in the business for many years and has seen lots of ups and downs and has made lots of changes and had to pivot. But it was really neat to be able to hear her experience and just the business side of things, because if you focus on I don't know, sometimes people get so focused on, I have my group of clients, and people sometimes are almost not secretive, but they don't really want to share too much about how they're doing things because maybe they think they have a competitive advantage. And so just by having a group of people, we can talk business, and it doesn't feel like, ooh, we're giving away all the secrets. Like it just feels friendly and learning, like being able to learn from each other. And I'm kind of hoping we might be able to put something in place down the road, almost like a lunch and learn kind of thing where, hey, what's something that, a bunch of you would like to learn about that maybe I specialize in? I mean, my big thing is perinatal mental health. So I could give like a 20-minute or half an hour chat or whatever on here's some things to be watching out for. Here's, people who I reach out to when I have clients coming to me with questions. So yeah, so I'm hoping we might actually be able to have an education piece that might fit into it, but I haven't actually told them that. So I probably should tell them that. But yeah, and it's making new friends too, right? Like, because this business can feel quite lonely, especially if you're an independent. When I worked with an agency, sure, I had other people there, but um, for the most part, I'm doing things on my own. So just being able to get out of the house and actually see them. And I mean, I would be fine if it were virtual meetups too, but it is nice to get out of the house and see them when I'm not with clients. So top three.
Yeah, I love it. I wrote it all down too. Those are amazing benefits from having a space like that. And it really is important to have that community. And like you said, I think that last point is so important because it really is such an individual profession. And where do we go? It's like you're all working for the same reasons, but we don't go to a physical building and do the work. We're just like this, but can we make a physical building? Can we make that, monthly connection? And I really like that. I really love everything you shared. It's really helpful on my end to hear too, as I'm like getting ready to create something like this. So I appreciate, you sharing your experience with it. Because I mean, this is exactly why Lynn and I want to build something like this. Is it's so important for us to get together. And I love the skill sharing part you said. The lunch and learn skill sharing. Absolutely. Like that's the other thing is doulas want to teach. We want to share. We want to talk. We want to talk about what we're doing and why not do it in a situation like that where you can teach. And it's really, it's honestly like what we do in the Doula Business Club. And it's what we're doing now. We get to contribute. We get to be a part of it and share our knowledge, our experience, our expertise. And that does something to you. It really builds your confidence and it makes you feel connected to a bigger thing.
Yeah.
That feels really, really good.
Yeah. Two other things I wanted to mention. I think it's also been super helpful for the new doulas who finish their training and then are like, now what? And like I mentioned, I think my networking game is pretty strong. So when I see new doulas come about, I will often reach out to them to say, hey, have a little chat. And then sometimes when they go to these meetings, I'll say, hey, if you don't know anybody there, like I'll sit with you. I can introduce you to other people because it's hard to get that start. I started with an agency, so that made the transition a little bit easier, but I get it. It's not easy to get your start, especially if you don't already have a network of people. And it's kind of crucial that you start learning who are the people who I can be referring to. And I had a second point, and I'm trying to think what it is. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. But no, I think it's been super helpful. I mean, I do love the Doula Business Club because we're talking business, and I feel like I can maybe share certain things that maybe would be more secretive if I were talking with other doulas in my local area. And I mean, hey, I'm another country away, so it feels like, wow, I can really share anything. The other thing that I was going to say is the neat thing that I think is happening now with our group is if you think about the different professionals that are part of it. So there's birth doulas, there's postpartum doulas, there's lactation consultants. there's photographers, there's perinatal mental health trained therapists, there's pelvic floor physiotherapists, there's massage therapists, like all these people who support. What we're finding now is my friend who is a postpartum doula and who has been referring work to me, she's actually looking to have a postpartum doula meetup. So it's almost like within these different professions, then it can spin out into our own little group where maybe we chat, whether it's once a quarter or something. So with this friend, she's actually going to have something. I think she was talking about having it at her house and just have other kind of independent postpartum doulas over. Of course, the time to try to find where everyone is free is a little bit tricky because depending on who you're working with and what kind of shifts and if you have your own family and kids and activities, but she's going to try. So she's looking at something for next month. But I like that idea of, okay, we take these different professions and then spin down into specialized groups of, what can we share? The whole backup thing I think is really important. This particular doula is technically my backup. I haven't had to use her in that way yet, but it's good to know that she's there for me. And yeah, I'm kind of excited about the specialized groups. And I don't know if some of the others are going to kind of spin out into specialized groups, but I'm really glad that us as postpartum doulas are.
Yeah, I really love that. It's almost like there can be a lead person for each profession that can then do the smaller groups like that.
Yeah. And it, like get together in someone's home and, have a potluck, and like it can be totally fun. When I actually learned about doulas in the first place, when I was working at the Mood Disorders Association, I had done a presentation to them in one of their homes, talking about perinatal mental health. So it was a group of, I think it was only birth doulas. I don't think there were any postpartum doulas there, but afterwards, like they had a potluck and they just invited me to be with them. And I thought, I like this energy, except I was so not interested in birth doula work. But when I found out what postpartum doulas do, like that actually changed the trajectory for me and changed what I wanted to do with my career. So that was amazing. But, lots of big benefits to having just kind of a casual get together, and nothing wrong with having chocolate and fruit and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, I love it. You don't need coffee and tea. We just need chocolate.
Yep.
I really like what you said too about it's a great space for newer doulas or newer professionals getting into their field, because you're right. There, you like, hey, I take my training, I'm a certified doula, and now it's like, oh my gosh, I have to network. Where do I go?
Yep.
And you have to individually reach out to the big doulas which is not fun to do. And sometimes they don't respond to you and it's weird. And you're like, oh my gosh, it makes you want to hide. But if there's a space where you can go to, you're accepted, you get in, it's so much easier. And the thing is, we want our new doulas or our new photographers, we want them to thrive. We need them.
Yeah.
So having a space like that is so important, because I went to a networking event last Saturday and there were like 4 new doulas, and you could tell they were just so quiet, so reserved, so intimidated, so like, but they knew they had to be there to network. And that's really difficult to do. And it feels like having this kind of a like monthly network, like what you guys have, is just such an easy introduction to be like arms wide open, come in, we'd love to have you, let's help you too.
Yeah. Totally. No, I think there's so many benefits. I'm so glad for the people that started the group for us. And yeah, I think as we move along, like I love that we have our Facebook group because we're able to chat there in between meetups. And also, yeah, some people, they're working their regular 9 to 5, their days fit into 9 to 5 because, the massage therapists, all of those physiotherapists, everybody like that, they have more set hours. So they maybe can't easily get out to the daytime meetups, but we still have the Facebook group to chat, and yeah, it's been great. I'm excited to see where we go, and yeah, I think I should probably talk to them about the idea of a lunch and learn type session, because I know there's probably everybody has something they could teach on for 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love that skill sharing idea. Okay. I'm gonna wrap this up. This was awesome to have this conversation with you. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for being here live. I'm sure everyone who catches the replay is going to really enjoy this conversation we had. And I think too, the biggest takeaway from what we discussed today was that networking is really important.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have a space like what you have, where can you reach out to, or even if it's just one person, to get the conversation started? And maybe you create the get together.
Totally. Like, I know during the worst of COVID, I was on Instagram and I was like every week I was having Zoom calls with people to say, hey, I'm an doula, and I always started it out by, I'd love to hear more about what you do, because people always want to talk about themselves. And then I would share a little bit about what I do. And I really built up my network that way. But I mean, having a space to meet with these people is wonderful, but even just reaching out that way, especially if people are in spaces where maybe they don't have a lot of people around who they can physically meet up with, even virtually works nicely.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Jennifer, thank you so much. Everyone, next steps. If you enjoyed the conversation, if you'd like more, Jennifer and I have talked about the Doula Business Club. You can absolutely join that. It is now nested inside of the Wellness and Business Collective. It's called Tier 2. It's currently on a celebration sale. I was inducted into the Hall of Fame, so I'm kind of celebrating that with a I'm celebrating that with a little sale for Tier 2. You can get inside the Wellness and Business Collective at $444, which is a slightly reduced rate, but you're going to get 2 free months inside the club. So you get a total of 8 months. So that's currently on sale. We have discussions like this within the Doula Business Club. We also get business coaching and like a slew of courses and classes. It's got a lot of stuff in there. It's great for supporting your doula business. And then if you want, Tier 1 is like $17 a month, something like that. And it's got access to my private podcast, which is even more incredible business support and guidance for birth workers and doulas. And if you don't want to hop into those, just find me on Instagram so we can hang out, because I love hanging out with everybody. That's all I've got for today. Thank you guys for watching the replay. And Jennifer, thank you for being here live. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Melissa. You too.
Have a great day. Bye.